Welcome back once again to the one and only Joe the Shirts Off the Cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. All right, welcome to Not Guilty Part 2, which is going to be a very, very different show from Not Guilty Part 1. As I stated in my earlier postings, Part 1 was meant to be fair and objective as humanly possible. And that's what I went with, okay. And it was pretty dry. It was pretty toasty, pretty much, milk toast kind of thing. And I presented what I thought may have happened. I presented the facts as we understand them, the facts that only George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin could possibly know. That's it. I presented facts and maybe a few possibilities here and there, but nothing beyond that. Today, as I said earlier, this is pure conjecture, opinion, rants. I'm going off the chain here. And again, today, unfortunately, no celebrity birthdays because I really want to get through this as much as I can, because after today, unless something really incredible happens in this case, this is the last I intend to talk about it. I think it's absorbed too much of our time as it is, okay? Before we do, though, I want to give a quick shout-out to one of my newest pals in the world of online radio programming, talk show honess. Let's give a big shout-out to my new pal, Thinkerbell. Thinkerbell has been listening and writing in, and you know what? I appreciate the feedback. I truly, truly do. So much love to Thinkerbell out there. All right, let's get started. Like I said, pure opinion and conjecture. That's all we're doing here today. Fuck everything else. That, and I've been drinking. So, we're a little looser than we were for part one here. Okay, let's start out with it. Okay. So much of what's going on is bugging me because entire messages just seem to be fucking lost, okay? We were lucky that the verdict came on a Saturday, because if it come down on a Monday when everybody was back to work, it may have been a whole different story. As it was, it got pretty fucking ugly around here. Here in Los Angeles, Oakland, California, and a few other places. Yep. Riots, violence, cops coming in, not too far from where I live, over on, Sunset and Vine, I think it was, or Hollywood and Vine. Riot police came in and started shooting beanbags into a crowd of people that were protesting or rioting or looting or whatever it is you want to call what it was they were doing. Probably a little bit of everything, This upsets me. I have no problem with people protesting the decision that was made, the legally made decision that was made by apparently 6 women that all seem to think a lot like Paula Deen. But, that's neither here nor there. What really bugs me is that this is happening at all. I mean, have we learned nothing from Rodney King at all? I mean, have we learned nothing at all from that? It seems like we never do. It started out, innocently enough. 300 people decided they were going to march a peaceful protest and let everybody know that, they're not happy with what happened. They believe it's a miscarriage of justice. And don't get me wrong, I think so too. I think that George Zimmerman should have gotten manslaughter. Murder was fucking ridiculous, but getting scot-free is even more fucking ridiculous. Manslaughter should have been the verdict that they should have come up with, but they didn't. All right, so, okay, you have about 300 peaceful protesters, and they're, letting them know, everybody we got fucked over. Okay, yeah, I don't know about how this we is. Trayvon got fucked over. His family got fucked over. I don't know where this whole we mentality comes in, but exactly what purpose does it serve Trayvon's family that you randomly hit people on the street, that you randomly attack police cars or set other people's cars on fire? I mean, what purpose are you what message are you sending here? That you're just as dumb and stupid as people like to paint you. That's the message you're sending, okay? That is the expected message. That is the racially profiled message that you are giving back to the people that you believe are oppressing you. Well, you know what? You just gave them another good reason to oppress you a little bit more. A lot of people like to think that it's easy for me on this side of the microphone, on this side of the color barrier, me being a Puerto Rican, and while not light-skinned, I'm tan, I'm often confused for being white. People think I look Jewish or that I look Russian or Greek or Israeli or whatever the fuck. Anything but Puerto Rican, which I am. But they feel that it's easy for me to, think like this. But, it's not. I've been racially profiled, in my time on this earth. I grew up in New York City. I grew up in the Bronx. And I got to tell you, I've been stopped by the cops. I've been frisked when I was doing absolutely nothing. I've been frisked on my way home from church, okay? All right? I was dressed in a suit. I had nice shoes on. I had a tie. And cops just, I'm just walking home, and they just pull me over. They rouse me. They search me for no good reason whatsoever, and then send me on my way and tell me to stay out of trouble. And that's what happened. And believe me, these weren't Latino cops pulling me over. These were not African American cops pulling me over. These were white boys. All right, white boys who felt that they had the right to just randomly stop me, search me, go through all my shit, open up the little briefcase where I kept my Bible and my Watchtower and Awake magazines. I don't know if you guys know this, but my mother was a Jehovah's Witness, so I was pretty much forced to go to Jehovah's Witness church. I don't believe any of that bullshit, by the way. I think all religion is bullshit and for fucking idiotic cocksuckers. But it's not easy. Okay, I've been on the side of being profiled, of being looked at and stared at and been suspected of shit, of being followed in a convenience store with an eye. People are just keeping an eye on me, and I've been the victim of racism from the other end as well, from black people. I have, growing up Puerto Rican in New York. While for the most part, blacks and Latinos tended to get along pretty well, definitely a lot better than your average black and white people, or your average Latino and white people, or say blacks and Asians, or hell, anybody in Asians. There were times where I was attacked in my very own, my junior high school and my high school, just for the fact that I wasn't black. Like I said, I grew up in a neighborhood that was predominantly Puerto Rican and black, Dominicans, a few Asians here and there. But, it was blacks and Latinos. But I also, I passed for white pretty easily. And, I was attacked. I was randomly attacked by people, and then one time, one guy, I'm like walking down the stairs. I guess at the bottom of the stairs, this huge black kid looks at me, picks me up. I was a scrawny kid, so it was pretty easy. Picks me up, puts me on his back, and gives me like that wrestling move, the backbreaker, and then dumps me on the floor, and is like, "Fuck you, white boy." And I'm like gasping for breath. I'm going, "I'm a spick. I'm Puerto Rican." So I was racially profiled. Okay. But really, what purpose does it serve to have a riot, to go looting? I guess nothing shows support for Trayvon Martin and his family like, busting down a Walmart and stealing a 60-inch TV. Nothing says love and support and peace the way Dr. King would have liked it than, stealing, large, expensive items from Walmart. Nothing says peace and love like randomly attacking people that are just waiting for the bus. That happened, okay? People that were just waiting for the bus, not bothering anybody, just waiting for the bus so they can go home from a day of work, and groups of people just went up to them and just started hitting them. They did nothing wrong. Honestly, it's not that. It's very similar to what happened with Rodney King. You guys remember that video of that truck driver? Guys just got his truck. He's trying to do his job. This big mob of people surround the truck, and they pull him out, and they kick the shit out of him, and they hit him in the face with a brick. You know, he had like something like 300-400 stitches to his like left cheek. You know, and he had nothing to do with any of that. And yet he got his ass kicked for being white. That was his crime. He was white. And people will try to justify that. Let me be very specific here. Black people will try to justify that by what happened to Rodney King. Rodney King got his ass kicked, and the guys that did it got away with it. And because of that, that gives you carte blanche to just kick the living shit out of any random white person you see. All right? I was not here for the riots, those particular riots. And thank the Lord that I wasn't. But I had a friend of mine. He owns a business here in Los Angeles, a massage business. That's it. He runs a spa. Okay, you go in, you get a massage, do a little steam, a little sauna. That nice little business that he had going. But when the riots occurred, the riots didn't stay in the ghetto. They didn't stay in Crenshaw or Watts. It spread throughout all of Los Angeles like a plague. You know, I'm talking like West Hollywood, Koreatown, buildings, entire neighborhoods were burning to the ground. And my buddy was trying to protect his business like so many other people were. Rioters would come, they would break into businesses, smash and grab, take the money, hit people randomly. My buddy had a shotgun with him. Anybody that came to his front door, he just click, and just pointed it right at them, and they moved along. But without that extreme measure, his business might have been burned to the ground. He might have gotten killed, you know? So why are we letting ourselves justify these crimes just because someone got fucked over? Yes, somebody got fucked over. Trayvon Martin got fucked over. Trayvon Martin's family got fucked over. And George Zimmerman got off scot-free. Yes, that happened. How that affects you personally is really fucking beyond me. All right? I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't give a shit about George Zimmerman. I don't give a shit about Trayvon Martin. I never met either one of those motherfuckers. Could care less. And most of you out there, you don't give a shit about them either, all right? That's just what the media jammed down your throat. Here, care about this because we're showing it to you. And it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit that, you know, people think that this is justifiable behavior. That because some person that they've never met and know nothing about died and his killer was not properly prosecuted, that gives you, you know, just freedom to do whatever the fuck you want. And then they try to justify. These people, a lot of them will get arrested. They will go through the system. They will go to jail and feel some bizarre amount of pride about it. You know, I know people in this town that, you know, were afraid to go anywhere after the verdict came down, you know, because, they're white. I know people that, you know, called in to work, told them, you know what, I don't really trust going outside. You know, so, and people were, and there were closures on the freeways, and there were closures, you know, it's just stupid. All you do when you engage in this kind of behavior is give the people that oppress you even more reasons to continue to oppress you, because obviously you can't handle living by the law. And on that note, we're going to take a little break. Our first song today is called Funny Death by 835, and our next song is El Paraíso Insieme a Te by 373K. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back.
fare ciò che tu vuoi, è per questo che ti porterò lontano. Liberati dalle nostre catene, liberati da chi non ci vuol bene, arriveremo fino all'ultimo piano lontano.
And once again, Joe the Shirt is off the cuff and back. Welcome back. So I've talked a little bit about the riots, about the violence, all the bullshit going on. How really you do not honor Trayvon Martin's death by rioting, looting, attacking random strangers, setting police cars on fire. You certainly don't honor Dr. King. Malcolm X, maybe a little. I'm just saying. And going the other way, didn't anybody feel just a little bit queasy when they found out that all 6 of the jurors, with one exception, happened to be white? Didn't anybody just balk at that one? Did anybody just go, huh, that doesn't seem right? And by the way, the 6th juror, they didn't release what her race was. I'm guessing that if she had been black, we would have known about it. But they said that she wasn't white. Could have been Asian, could have been Latino, could have been just about anything, but definitely not black or white. And that's something, I don't know. I think the prosecution really dropped the fucking ball on this one. Don't you think so? It just seems that, I watched the trial, I'm watching this shit, and I'm like, you guys are just fucking up left and right. Are you guys high? Are you guys drunk? Is this like opposite day for the prosecution? What's going on here? It just seemed like they weren't trying. When the police officer was testifying, he was just like, oh yeah, Mr. Zimmerman seemed very cooperative. He seemed very honest, very sincere. I didn't feel that he was lying, and I at no point did I hear like the defense go, the prosecution going, objection, objection, objection. You watch the movies on TV, it seems like objection comes out every 3 seconds. But these guys were like, yeah, and then pretty much we're pretty sure Trayvon worked for Al Qaeda, and no objections, Your Honor. It was killing me. One of the things I touched on very briefly last show was the fact that they're now calling for a possible special prosecution, a federal prosecution, based on the idea of Trayvon Martin's civil rights being violated. Now, I have several problems with this. First and foremost, I don't like the idea of the federal government nosing in to a state issue. I don't care who you are, what you do. You get killed in Florida, it's Florida's issue. You kill somebody in Georgia, it's Georgia's issue. You get all the way killed in Alaska, okay, in Anchorage. You get your ass killed in Anchorage. That's Anchorage's fucking problem, not the United States of America federal government. That's not their problem, okay? To put it this way, if Barack Obama were to be assassinated in, say, Iowa, that is not a federal case. Do you guys understand that? He was murdered. He's killed in Iowa. He's murdered in Iowa. That's Iowa's problem. It's not a federal case. Some people might argue, well, he's a federal employee. Well, yes, that's true. But the first thing you do is try the murderer in Iowa. At least that's the way it's supposed to happen. Believe me, I know that the federal government loves to intervene here and there. I don't like this. They're talking about possibly going after George Zimmerman because he violated Trayvon Martin's civil rights. Here's a question for you. While we had to wait for the state trial to end before the federal government could do anything officially, why weren't they putting together a case before that? Why weren't they getting ready? Even if they believed that George Zimmerman was going to get the full impact of the law, get murdered too, get life in prison or the death penalty, the federal government can still get the paperwork going, get the case going, get everything rolling. You know why? Because they felt that that Florida would do what they considered the right thing, which is come up with a guilty verdict, and they were lazy, or they didn't care, they didn't want to. But now that accordingly, Florida dropped the ball. Now the federal government feels, oh shit, fumble. And I don't like it, because I'm going to ask you quite plainly, what civil rights were violated here exactly? Jesse Jackson recently, there's a quote from him, said that he was denied his right to life, which is the most basic of civil rights. No, it's not. No. Right to life is not a civil right. A right to a job, that's a civil right. A right to an abortion, that's a civil right. A right to your religion, that's a civil right. A right to life is not a civil right. It's a human right, which, by the way, is not guaranteed regardless of what you read in the Constitution or any of the amendments or any of the Declaration of Independence, whatever you read in there. The right to life is not guaranteed. I know there's parts of this talk about the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know what? Those are not inalienable rights. They can be suspended really quite easily by your government, all right? So, right off the bat, the right to life, not a civil right, not an inalienable right. It's not even, it's a basic human right, which can be revoked. You heard of the death penalty? There you go. I'm sorry, I don't see how Trayvon Martin's civil rights were violated here. I really don't. What I see is that one little idiot got out of his car when he was told not to, followed this kid when he was told not to, and confronted this kid when he was told not to, and things got out of control, and he shot this kid. This happens every fucking day in this country. Don't act like this is something new. Don't act like this is something special. This is just what the media decided to jam down your throats this time because they need ratings. They need people to watch their fucking show. If people don't watch their fucking show, then they don't make money and they don't have jobs. So they sensationalize it. We watch it. We get all pissy about it. It's like, oh, that's just wrong, And then we lose our fucking collective minds. I don't know, calling for a special federal investigation, federal prosecution into civil rights violations. Now that reminds me of O.J. Simpson when he got off with literally murder, and then the president called for a civil rights violations investigation. Oh, wait. No, that actually didn't fucking happen. All right. You know what also didn't happen? White people didn't take to the streets and start, looting and pillaging and hitting people randomly. Why? Because white people really don't care as much. And I say white people as opposed to black people because, yes, the people that generally speaking are looting and rioting right now are black. Yeah, I said it. They are. It's true. There are some Latinos in there, and there's plenty of white people among the rioters. Don't get me wrong, okay? But when O.J. Simpson got off with double murder, nobody took to the streets. Not black people, not white people, not Latinos, certainly not Asians. Nobody took to the streets. Because while there were plenty of outraged white people are not known for rioting. White people are known more for, writing a letter. Contact their congressman. Let them know, I'm very angry at this. I can't believe that this happened. That's your stereotypical white voice. I don't know. There's a lot of questions that can be asked here. One of the biggest ones, first and foremost, is if our current president were not black, if you were not African American, would there be a calling for these civil rights violations, investigations, and prosecutions? Would it happen? And if it did or didn't, is that a reflection on the fact that the president is black, or that the president might be white? Again, more profiling. You know, a lot of people can racially profile Barack Obama right now. They can say that the only reason that the federal government is intervening on this is because he's black. And that's not fair. That's absolutely not fair. You know? I'd like to think that our president, President Barack Obama, you know, if he decides to go through with this, is doing it because he truly believes that something really wrong happened here beyond the facts of the case. And the facts of the case are, of course, 6'2", 17-year-old man or boy, however you call it. I don't like to say 17-year-old boy. You know why? Because Trayvon Martin is an African American, and I never want to refer to an African American as boy unless it's like home boy, because then we know we're cool with each other. But I say boy in reference to Trayvon Martin, and it makes me sound like a racist. But a 17-year-old, let's call him a man, because at 6'2", that's way bigger than I am. 6'2" individual. Let's go with that one. 6'2" individual at night, while it's dark, is seen in a gated community by a neighborhood watch person who does not recognize this individual and confronts him, even though he was told not to. Your short little pudgy ass should have stayed in the car. And he confronts him, and things got out of hand. You know what? This is what I think actually really happened. Okay, I think that George Zimmerman's dumb, short, pudgy little ass got out of the car with his gun and was trying to make a statement because, you know, he's in his gated community. He's in his home. And when a man's in his home, he tends to feel a little, his chest, you know, get a little bigger. He tends to feel a little more macho, you know, defending my home, my turf. And he sees somebody he doesn't know, so he confronts him. Now, Trayvon Martin, being a 17-year-old individual, let's go with that again, who happens to be, let's say he's black. Okay, 17-year-old black individual who happens to be 6'2", and from what I've heard, quite athletic, is confronted by a short, pudgy white guy who's asking him, "Hey, what the hell are you doing in this neighborhood?" Now, if I was 6'2", anything, 17 years old, and a short, pudgy white person approached me asking me my business, well, fuck you, cracker. You can suck my dick. You can suck my big, black, uncircumcised dick. That's what I'd be saying. And George didn't take it well. He decided to press his initiative. Trayvon did not take it well and started to beat George's ass. That's what I believe happened. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I really think there's a really good shot that that's what happened. George panicked, he took out his gun, and he shot the kid. Now, I agree with my buddy Brendan, who I talked about in the last show, that, you know what, you get into a street fight, you win, you lose, you get your ass kicked, you win, you don't get your ass kicked, you spit on the guy, kick him a little bit, and then walk away, but you don't die over it. I don't know. Like I said, but it's up to George. If George thought his life was in danger, maybe he felt justified in defending himself by shooting. Who knows? Not us. But that's what I truly believe happened. I believe that things got out of hand, things escalated. Neither one of them was smart enough to back down. Both of them believed in the stand your ground law, apparently. And both of them ended up doing things that you can't take back. And with that in mind, I'm going to take our next break with our next song, Twin Six, by The Ghost Station. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff. I'll be right back. Show the Shirts back once again, as always, off the cuff. Welcome back, everybody. I love today's show already. You know why? I have no notes whatsoever. I'm completely off the cuff today. I'm just going with it. All right. Where were we? Oh yes, we're talking about George and Trayvon. Once again, for anybody listening, and please don't get the impression that I recently joined the Klan or anything. My best friend in the world is black. He's homosexual. He just got married. I attended his wedding this past weekend, okay? I grew up with both black and white people. I have had sex with both black and white women. Love them both. But I'm talking about what's actually here, what's really fair, I said I'm not trying to be fair and even-handed today. I'm not trying to be objective about this. I'm just spewing opinions and thoughts as they come to me. I just don't like the idea of how people are taking what's going on. I think about Chris Rock right now when OJ got off. And he did a joke about, black people screaming, we won, we won, we won. And he just goes, what the fuck did we win? Did you get some OJ money? I didn't. And that's part of what I'm thinking about here. What the fuck does anybody have to win here? What did George Zimmerman have to win other than his freedom, obviously? But, he got off, and now he's living the rest of his life in fear. He's gotten multiple death threats, as have his mother and father, as have his legal staff. And I'm not saying that those are all coming from African Americans, not in the slightest. I'm quite sure there are plenty of white people, plenty of Latinos, no Asians that I know of, that are sending death threats. The police in Florida are getting death threats. Jurors are getting death threats. I'm quite sure the judge is probably getting death threats by now. And I think it's ridiculous. I mean, like I said before, people kill people of other races in this country every day. But you don't hear much about it. I had another friend of mine, my friend Penny, who posted on Facebook about some little girl, she happened to be white, who was brutally beaten, killed, and had her body dumped in a garbage can over a bicycle. The alleged attackers were black. A couple of young black men, young boys, whatever you want to call them. They, according to her, they could have just as easily just pushed her off the bicycle and taken it. But instead, they chose to kick the living shit out of her. Now, I haven't verified this story yet, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility that it did happen, and I'm sure it has happened at some point or another. Every vile, nasty, disgusting thing that you can think of that humanity is capable of, odds are we've done it already, okay? But this is the case that grabbed our attention, and that's what we went with. And the fact that George got off makes it even crazier. Well, like I said, nobody got that upset over OJ. I mean, the evidence against him was overwhelming. It was nuts. Okay? Was it Phil Spector? Evidence against him was overwhelming. I mean, he got convicted. But, you didn't see people out in droves supporting Phil Spector at any point. We're getting the wrong messages all around. I think that people, before they make their judgments based simply on the fact that one person was black and one person was white, sorta, before you base your decisions solely on that, I mean, look at the case. Look at the trial. Watch the video. Watch the testimony of the people. I mean, if it were possible for you to ignore the fact that you know who Trayvon Martin is, that you know who George Zimmerman is, that you know that one is black and one is sort of white, if you could ignore those facts and just listen to the testimony based on what was being said, what the police were saying, what the forensic experts were saying, what the witnesses, the alleged witnesses were saying, at no point can you really determine that it was murder. It was manslaughter. It was stupidity. And do I blame George Zimmerman for this? Yes, I do. I will tell you right now, George Zimmerman is at fault for this. This is his fault. You know? And now it's everybody's problem. It's his problem. It's his parents' problems. His lawyer's problem. It's the problem of every African American or Anglo Americans that's out there. It's all of our problems, as it always has been. Nothing has really changed here. It's been said that, that people have told me that black people can't be racist. Oh, yeah, they can. But there's the difference between being treated in a racist manner and being a victim of racism. African Americans, black people in this country, were victims of racism for a good 400 years. And the last, 150 or so hasn't quite erased any of that, and never will, most likely. It's going to be a thought process for pretty much all of our lifetimes at the very least. None of us will ever live to see the day. Nobody living right now will ever live to see the day where racism was a thing of the past. I'm hopeful for future generations, maybe 100, 200, 300, 400 years from now. I'm hopeful. I can't guarantee the utopian Star Trek world, where nobody sees race and nobody sees sex, where we're all the same. You have Jean-Luc Picard, Catherine Janeway, Benjamin Sisko. None of them are white, none of them are women, and none of them are black. Fine. I'm good with that. But that's not the world we live in. The world we live in is black and white and brown and tan and yellow and red. And there's a joke I've always made about how there's a little bit of a pedophile in every man. Every man has a little bit of a pedophile in him. We don't act out on it. The vast majority of us do not act out on that little pedophile in us. And I say this because, I still like it when my girlfriend puts on her little pigtails and Catholic schoolgirl outfit, all right? I still get her to do it. I still enjoy it. Am I a dirty man? Yes, I am. I'm a dirty, dirty, dirty man. But I have it in check. And my buddy, the Raitai, he's always said that there's a little bit of racist in everybody. And you know what? I believe that. I do. I believe that there's a little bit of racism in all of us. There's a little something in us. Maybe it's not against the groups we've talked about. Maybe you don't hate black people. Maybe you don't hate white people. Maybe you don't hate Chinese people. Maybe you hate Muslims. Maybe you hate Jews. Maybe you really can't stand those fucking Filipinos. You know what I'm saying here? Or maybe you like white people, but you just can't like those southern crackers, Maybe you love, all your black friends at work, but when you go by Fatburger to pick up a little something on the way home, you don't like all those fucking punks hanging out there, do you? I want you to examine yourself for a second, okay? Think about your psyche. Think about how you think for a moment there. Can you really say that there's nothing even remotely racist about your thought process? That there isn't like a group that you just, as soon as you hear about them, as soon as you talk about them, you see them on TV, you're going to tell me that there's nobody, not a single type of person on the planet that doesn't make you give a little. I'm not saying you hate them. I'm not saying you're going out of your way to punish them or oppress them or deny them anything, but there's just something about your history in connection to them that colors how you see anybody of their ilk. I would like to. I like to think that anybody that says that there's not a single type of human being on this planet that you have any ill regard for, I think you're a liar, or you're in like the deepest denial since the river. Okay, I think it's bullshit. I think we have to try to be honest with ourselves. We're never going to achieve it. We're never truly going to be honest with ourselves. If we're not honest with each other, we can't be honest with ourselves. I mean, there are things that we have all done that we haven't told anybody about. There are things that we have said and done that we don't tell anybody about. I've got things in my past that I'm not even going to tell you guys about. And I don't care if you and I were locked in a room for 50 years, I guarantee you that you still wouldn't tell me everything. There'd still be some things that you would not want to reveal. Like that time you had that jar of peanut butter and the neighbor's dog. You're not going to tell me about that. It's not my business. Or the time you broke your neighbor's car antenna because you didn't like the way he talked to you once. Hey, but you keep it to yourself, and I think most of us, if not all of us, I'm going to go all of us. I think the Dalai Lama hates somebody somewhere. You can say, I love everybody, I accept everybody, I am at one with the universe, and I can guarantee you're a fucking liar, because I can guarantee you somebody hates your ass at the very least. And personally, I'm glad people hate me. I'm glad some people hate me, because God forbid the people I hate aren't smart enough to hate me back. Well, that's just stupid, dude. And this is where I'm leaving the whole Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman deal here. That's it. That's where I'm leaving it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you'll come back to me and not hate me forever. But until then, here's Put Down That Gun by Vital MC. I'm Joe the Shirt, and I'm off the cuff. Later.
I see they fake. Send me all the man to spray. I see they fake.
Say the president got one, the cops they got one, our favorite rapper got one. You need to put down that gun. You need to put down that gun. And then the kids say the president got one, my teacher got one, my favorite rap star got one. Put down that gun. You need to put down that gun. Yo, I've seen them preachers in pulpits, heard rappers with full clips who pull quick and teach your kids to believe in this bull-ish. The heart of the city beats for these thieves and these culprits, while their leaders run around for their facetious indulgence. It's a vicious cycle, I just sit through it and observe. Like a live Doppler scanning from helicopters. I'm in Ramon's words, 45s or 22s. Ain't got no kind of clue, monkey see, monkey